The Maldives is leaning on China to help it stay afloat, but China is in no position to support. The dragon is consumed by problems of its own. Corruption currently being its biggest headache. You heard that right. There is complete corruption in China. From sports and healthcare to infrastructure and defense, the country is neck deep in graft, with people taking bribes or being entrapped in spy networks. Let's kickstart with the Chinese Football Association. This is the sporting body's former boss, Chen Shuan. He recently featured in a documentary which was trying to answer a simple question. Why does Chinese football not do well? Chinese President Xi Jinping is reportedly a football fan. His dream is to see China become a global football superpower. China has invested in football leagues, hired world-class players, yet China never made a mark in football. And why is that? The answer, this Chinese documentary says, is corruption. Let's just bring back Chen Shuan. He confessed on record that corruption was puncturing Chinese football. He said, and I'm quoting now, "Corruption is everywhere in each and every aspect." In fact, Chen admitted to accepting $42,000 from officials of two clubs before he became the boss of China's Football Federation. Let that sink in. This money came as congratulatory gifts, but Chen knew that his palm was being greased. Also part of this documentary was Li Tai. Some of you may have seen him on television. Li is a former head coach of China's men national team. He was part of the team that represented China in the 2002 World Cup. In fact, Li also played for Everton in EPL, or the English Premier League. In short, Li is a high-profile footballer. And currently, he is being probed for corruption. In this documentary, Li confesses of match fixing and taking bribes. He talks about an incident where he, in the capacity of a manager, had asked a player of a football club to share a 6 million yuan bribe among his key players to fix the match. Sure, match fixing is a global nuisance, but Chinese leader Xi Jinping used to take pride in running a tight, clean ship. In the year 2012, the Chinese Communist Party launched a campaign against corruption. It promised a tiger hunt. 11 years on, the failure of Xi Jinping's administration is out for the world to see. Chinese corruption is making global headlines. Graft is stunting Chinese growth, pricking holes in Beijing's growth bubble. Also dampening Xi Jinping's dream of global dominance. The Chinese football team never made it past the preliminary stage of the Qatar World Cup. Corruption punctured China's football. The story spills outside the football stadium as well, by the way. Just tell me one thing. In which other country does the military fill its missiles with water instead of fuel? This is a reality check for Xi Jinping. Under him, Chinese film star Fan Bingbing has disappeared. The serving chief of Interpol, Meng Hongwei, has disappeared. A serving defense minister and a foreign minister have disappeared. Why? For alleged corruption. We have been telling you about the purge in China. Purged officers include military commanders. Many of them are Xi Jinping's hand-picked officials, in fact. And their involvement in corruption throws mud at Xi Jinping. They bring to the fore uncomfortable questions on Xi Jinping's judgment and decision-making abilities, or the lack of. Rumors are rife that Xi's hand-picked foreign minister, Qin Gang, was romantically involved with a TV presenter who also has now vanished. Reports say the two were compromised by Western intelligence. And as if corruption wasn't bad enough, now you also have high-profile espionage haunting China. Every now and then, China's state broadcaster CCTV airs confessions of corruption, of top officials taking bribes. What for exactly? If the high-profile disappearances and confessions was supposed to be a deterrent, the policy has clearly failed. If they were supposed to be an eyewash, then China's lies has been exposed. Today, when countries are trying to invest their resources in safeguarding their economies from the war in the high seas, the Chinese economy is struggling to save itself from a war within. Chinese missiles are not war ready. They are filled with water. The missile silos have defective lids, and chances are they will come in the way of a launch. Complete corruption, like I have been telling you. On Monday, Xi Jinping addressed the plenary session of the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection. He asked them to show no mercy. We must never turn back, slack off, or show mercy in our fight against corruption, quote unquote, is what Xi Jinping said. The plenary concluded on Wednesday, following which the anti-corruption body put out a communique. What did it say? The statement sang praises for Xi Jinping, applauded him for leading, quote-unquote, the entire party to promote comprehensive and strict governance with unprecedented determination. Really? Is this where the problem lies? That between covering up Xi Jinping's failures, glorifying his leadership, and projecting an image of no tolerance, China is being spread too thin to tackle the real problem. Reports say in the last 11 years, the anti-graft body has investigated 4.7 million officials. 45 investigations were launched into senior officials in the year 2023 alone. Yet, there is complete corruption in China. And today, Beijing is being forced to widen the net for the tiger hunt. This year, officials will be paying close attention to corruption in 6 departments. And which are these departments? Finance, money policy, employment, industry, regional programs, technology, and environment. Auditors are also closely monitoring the transactions in the construction sector and healthcare. So what's left? That's literally all of China. All of China knee-deep in complete corruption. Does this look like a superpower to you or a failed state? Russia's new weapons upgrade is sure to give Ukraine a major nightmare. By now, we've all read a lot about Russia's use of suicide drones in battleground Ukraine. And now it's working on a powerful new drone that could launch airstrikes against Ukraine and become a major source of headache for its war-weary and war-worn troops. Reports say that Russia is upgrading its loitering munition. It is the Zala KYB UAV, or as it's most commonly known, the Cube. And Russia's weapons production lines are on overdrive. The drone is manufactured by Russian arms company Kalashnikov Concern. And this is what the upgrade to the drone features. Reports describe the upgrades are as if the Russians have strapped a sledgehammer to the belly of the drone. It comes with a beefed-up warhead, making it a more formidable nightmare for the enemy. The warhead is made from the explosive Okfol. It is 1.7 times more powerful than TNT. No wonder then Russia keeps insisting that it has the upper hand in the arms race with the West. And by the looks of it, Moscow intends to keep the rate of arms growth high. Now, it's not clear when the Cube will be used on the battlefield, but reports speculate that Russia may have already started using these upgraded suicide drones in the battlefield. Case in point being its maker, Kalashnikov Concern, the president, Alan Lushnikov. He told Russian state media on Christmas that the first batch of the Cube has been shipped. He said, and I'm quoting, tests have been successfully completed and the first batch is being shipped to the customers right now. I think at this very moment, this is a serious step because in fact, it was a new product. And here's what else we know about the Cube. It was first introduced in the year 2019. It already has some formidable features, including its ability to travel silently for 30 minutes. This even at a top speed of 130 kilometers per hour. So then, why did the Russians feel the need to upgrade it? You see, the original had some limitations. It had a relatively small warhead and it was used less often than other Russian drones in its class, such as the Lancet. In October, in fact, Russia unveiled a new SLA-53 version of the Lancet drones. It included an automatic guidance system that can distinguish types of targets as well as increase the strike success rates. And even this upgraded Lancet drone, despite its guidance system update, lacked a warhead powerful enough to significantly cause damage. Now, the upgraded version of this Russian drone will pack a more powerful punch against targets. The new version of the suicide drone, the Cube, can now fill those gaps. It can hit some of the targets impervious to the Lancet and other drones. And the most well-known suicide drones that are being used by Russians are the Iranian-designed Shahed drones, also known as kamikaze drones. For the unversed, kamikaze drones are also loitering munitions. They have explosives in a warhead on the nose. It is designed to loiter over a target until it is instructed to attack. The Iranian Shahed 136 does that. With a wingspan of about 2.5 meters or 8.2 feet, they can be hard to detect on the radar. Remember, war-battered Ukraine has been inundated by repeated Russian drone attacks since late December. Of course, Ukraine has often been able to destroy these drones by their air defenses with relative ease, and that is creating the need for Russia to keep making more drones or even upgrade them. And in recent months, Russia has been working to change the air attack strategy. Moscow basically wants to make it more difficult for Ukraine to intercept these drones, and to do so, it is making extensive upgrades to its drone fleet. Let's now shift our focus to Nepal. A spiritual leader has been arrested on charges of rape and kidnapping. His name is Ram Bahadur Bomjan, but the world knows him as the Buddha boy. So who is he and what's his story? How did he go from a spiritual leader to an alleged rapist? Let's start from the top. Now, little is known about the Buddha boy's early years. He was born in 1990 as Ram Bahadur Bomjan Tamang. He lived in the Bara district of Nepal. When he was around 14 years old, he left his home for India. He went to Dehradun to study and become a lama at a monastery, but he did not finish what he started. Only 5 months later, he returned to Bara. It wasn't long when he left his home once again, and this time to do meditation. According to some versions of the story, nobody had a clue. Bomjan just disappeared after midnight. A search was conducted, but he was nowhere to be found. And next morning, his brother saw him near a river close to their house. But Bomjan refused to go home. He kept on walking alone, only to stop at the Ratanpuri jungle. The next day, he was found meditating under a peepal tree. Dressed in white clothes, he sat cross-legged with a calm expression on his face. Days went by, but Bomjan did not move. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. But Bomjan did not move a finger, let alone eat or drink. Soon the news spread. The pictures of Bomjan meditating were circulated. People started drawing parallels between him and Lord Buddha, the founder of Buddhism. And there were uncanny coincidences. Just like Buddha, Bomjan's mother was also named Maya Devi. Just like Buddha, Bomjan was also born on a full moon day. He also meditated under the peepal tree and assumed the same posture as Lord Buddha. At that time, this was enough to make people believe. Many started worshipping him as the reincarnation of Buddha. And soon, Bomjan became Nepal's Buddha boy. In the year 2005, the 15-year-old sat in a tree hole meditating for 11 months without food, without water. That is what the local media reported. We still don't know how he did that. If at all, some 50 meters away, a barbed wire and guards isolated him from the touch of the world. Only his brother had the key to this fortress. Now, just a year ago, Ratanpuri had been a simple farming village. It had little contact to the outside world. But after the rise of the Buddha boy, the village became a sort of a pilgrimage site. Devotees bought and sold Bomjan's merchandise. There were pictures, videos, books, even a documentary was made on him. Devotees gave him hundreds of thousands of rupees in offerings. Even well-known ministers and businessmen became his followers. A decade passed by. Bomjan declared his own religion, set up an ashram and built an empire. His religious organization branched out both at home and abroad. But little did he know that his empire would fall like a castle of cards. So how did the Buddha boy's downfall actually begin? Well, he faced allegations of wrongdoing. Reports started to emerge about his violent behavior and alleged crimes. It began with an assault. A devotee came to Bomjan's monastery to visit his guru, and when the Buddha boy reportedly attacked him with a sword, and soon this erratic behavior was common for people in the ashram. In the year 2010, dozens of assault complaints were filed against Bomjan. He was accused of beating the victims because they disturbed his meditation. In the year 2018, an 18-year-old nun accused Bomjan of raping her, that too at his own ashram when she was a minor. The following year, police opened another investigation against the Buddha boy. His own family members reported the disappearance of 4 devotees from one of the ashrams. It's still not known where those people are. This was the Buddha boy's undoing. An arrest was issued against him in the year 2020, and almost 4 years on, the police finally got a hold of the Buddha boy. They tracked down the 34-year-old on the outskirts of capital Kathmandu. He reportedly tried to flee the officers by jumping 2 floors from a window, but all in vain. The police arrested Bomjan and brought him before the media in handcuffs. The officers also seized a stack of Nepalese banknotes and other foreign currencies. How much was it worth? Some $260,000. Bomjan is now expected to be taken to court. His followers are not happy, of course. They gathered outside the Central Investigation Bureau offices in Kathmandu, but were pushed back by the riot police. You see, this was the rise and fall of a so-called spiritual leader. There was a time when he was recognized as a peaceful ascetic, but now his monstrous side is on wide display.